The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Shifting a little bit to politics, because yesterday was such a big day on Capitol Hill. As you know, the Congress, the House passed a $1 trillion spending bill. I was absolutely convinced that it was not going to go through, that they didn't have the votes for it, and that they were going to do, in my estimation, what would have been the wiser option, which would have been to pass a continuing resolution, which would have funded the government through the beginning of next year, when the new Congress came in, got their committee assignments, got their committee chairs, and got settled in, and then could dig in maybe after the first quarter of the year and start deconstructing the budget and deconstructing Obama's policies. But that didn't happen. I was surprised. Were you?
Oh, no, sweetie. No. As you know, I've been saying this for years. This is the core of why I declared the federal tax strike. The United States of America, the constitutional republic of the United States of America, no longer exists. I consented to paying taxes to the constitutional republic, the United States of America. When that ceased to exist, I can't pay taxes into this skid mark on the bath towel of history that is fraudulently going under the name the United States of America. It's not what it is. I cannot, and it's a false premise. It is arguing and discussing and operating from a false premise. If you acknowledge the regime in Washington, D.C. as legitimate, as constitutional, as a legitimate entity under the rule of law, it is not. And so am I surprised by anything that goes on there? No. And I've been saying also this whole dynamic of, Democrat Republicans, you have to see this now. You just allegedly had a magnificent victory, picked up all of these seats, and the utter and complete capitulation to the agenda of the Washington, D.C. regime took hours before they started saying, the Republicans that is, that they would be fully capitulating to all of it, to the dissolving of the southern border, to the amnesty, to Obamacare. Impeachment is completely off the table. I mean, just every few hours it seemed like there was yet another reiteration of the fact that they were capitulating completely to the Washington, D.C. regime. The Congress is irrelevant. It's no longer a legislature, an executive, and a judiciary with checks and balances in between, with the three branches being co-equal. That's over. The United States doesn't exist anymore. It's not America, okay? What the Congress does, what any of them do, it doesn't matter. Orders are being given tyrannically by this cabal of just moral, degenerate, evil people, many of whom are coming out of that Columbia University claque. There's multiple sources and vectors. Many of it's coming through the financial system, of course, no question. But this claque, this oligarchy, are handing out these orders. There's no check and balance. The Congress is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. The whole Democrat-Republican, they're both criminal organizations. They are criminal. They're the mob. They are the mob. And I'm still getting in my spam filter, you have to send us money because this is the last chance. We have to stand up against this, and this. Send your donation now to whatever, the RNC, or to this person, or to that person, or to this PAC, or to that PAC. It's all fraud, you guys. Stop engaging this. Stop engaging this. All they do is collect millions and millions of dollars from people like you under the false pretext that they are actually doing anything to fight any of this. And then what they do is they do email blast campaigns, and they do mailings and things like that. And they invoice and cross-invoice these companies, these, political consultancy companies, these web-based email blasting companies, these mailing, snail mail mailing companies who are owned by their friends and relatives. They get these contracts to do all this consulting and emailing and snail mail mailers, and they're billed at just exorbitant markups, and they just suck all of this money out of you guys and just invoice and cross-invoice each other and become multi-millionaires and laugh all the way to the bank. You have no... I know this sounds awful, and, Ann is Debbie Downer. Well, I guess so, because our nation's been overthrown, okay? And I'm just desperately trying to get you to understand that you have no voice in Washington, D.C. This is not a representative democracy. Are you kidding me? They don't give a crap, you think? They don't give a crap about any of the consequences of any of this to you. You are nothing to them. You are you are less than nothing. The regime in Washington, D.C., it's dead. You can't fix it from the inside out. It is an irredeemable nest and hive of scum and iniquity. At this point, the only solution is to burn it down and start over again. It cannot be fixed. I would never, I had people begging me to run for Congress in Colorado. I could, after my Koran burning, and then again after I went viral when I shut down the brokerage firm, I could have set up a PAC, or I could have run for Congress. And Andrea, right now, I would be a multi-millionaire. Multi-millionaire. No problem. It would have been. Yeah. I had people. RT wanted to give me a television show. I had all of these opportunities. I would never, ever do that. I would never run for Congress because the body is itself illegitimate. The nation has been overthrown. That's the point. Why in the world would I then go traipse off into that godforsaken cancer and engage it as if it were legitimate? Why would I lend legitimacy to something that has no legitimacy whatsoever, and beyond that is satanic? I would never do that. Why wouldn't I take a television show on Russia Today? And I said this immediately when this happened, because that is Putin's propaganda arm, and it will be a cold day in hell before I ever take a paycheck from an evil SOB like Vladimir Putin. Well, and your audience would be enormous. You'd be able to reach so many people. I don't care. You at some point there has to be integrity, and you have to say, no, I will not engage these illegitimate systems. No.
What you say that you would that the entire establishment in Washington, it needs to be burned down and started all over again. First of all, what do you mean when you say burn down? And second of all, how do you change the nature of man if they don't believe in Christ and salvation? You're just going to, the same thing is going to recreate all over again. So answer the first part, burning it down. What do you mean by that?
The entire government, because it is now illegitimate, it needs to be utterly dissolved. And this is the part. This will take supernatural intervention. Is the bureaucracy. The federal bureaucracy now is so massive and so powerful that, I mean, it could be done. You could have a junta of some sort, and you could completely dissolve the Congress, completely dismiss all of the federal level judiciary, and of course, arrest and try as traitors, and or in the case of Obama, who probably isn't even a citizen, he's probably an Indonesian national, you would try him as a non-state, non-uniformed enemy belligerent. But the entire thing, yeah, I'm not kidding. He's a non-state, non-uniformed enemy belligerent. You would have to dissolve the entire government, probably have a placeholder junta. Although, I'm so disgusted with the military. There's certainly no flag officers that have the moral integrity to do this. I'm not even convinced at this point that there are any field grade officers that have the integrity to do this. Where are these people? Why is nobody standing up as these treasonous, completely illegal things are being done with our military? Why are they allowing this stuff to go on? Why did they tolerate the business with regards to Benghazi? Why do they continue to allow our guys to just be sent over there and slaughtered? And as we are actively assisting the reformation of the Islamic Caliphate, why are they continuing to sit passively and watch while sodomites are actively recruited? I mean, there's a news headline today about the Air Force now saying that they're going to be recruiting transsexuals. I mean, this is insanity. And I asked the rhetorical question, where are all these people? And I heard the answer. It was actually in Riverville over a year ago. And I had the opportunity to be having lunch, and there present was a United States Army field grade officer. I won't say his rank, but he was a field grade officer. And he said it was right in the aftermath of Benghazi, actually, or when the Benghazi scandal broke. And he was trying to defend the Obama White House. No, I think they just got some intelligence and they made a judgment call that it wasn't worth it to send anybody in. I mean, give me a break. A distress call from a United States ambassador carries exactly the same tactical urgency as a distress call from a 4-star general. Give me a break. I mean, that was a hit. They executed Chris Stevens in Benghazi. That's all that was. And the guy, after he said that, and I got in his face, he said, and I was shocked that he said it, he said, look, I just have to make it 8 more years.
Yes.
And because that's when he retires, and that's when he thinks he's going to get his pension. I mean, besides how morally despicable that is, I also am just gobsmacked at the fact that anyone would be so stupid to think that A, it's going to last 8 more years, and B, that you're going to actually get a payout on your pension. I mean, you're really going to rely on that? You're so ill-informed, you can't look at what's going on with regards to the financial market and the debasing of the U.S. dollar and all of this massive, massive debt that's being run up. You actually think that you're going to get a $6,000 check every month for the rest of your life from a nation that technically doesn't even exist anymore. You think that's how that's going to play out, huh? Well, I guess.
Did you actually say that to him?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good.
And it's just, and he stared at the floor and shrugged his shoulders.
Sure. What could he say? He had nowhere to go at that point because you showed him the absolute bottom line truth. I mean, you scrubbed the wood right, the floor right down to the bare wood, and that's the thing. I mean, these people that's what's, I believe, preventing the military from doing. Or I say the military. I'm not talking about the troops, the rank and file. I'm talking about the people who could make a difference, the McChrystals, the Petraeuses, etc. These guys are so enamored of their pension and of their stars and just the entire aura that goes along with it that they. But basically it's the pension, that they are traitors to the country. I mean, really, when you think about it, they don't deserve to wear the uniform if they're not willing to fight for the republic.
No, they're oath breakers. They're clear oath breakers.
Well, and so are there any of them out there? Are there any? I mean, let me tell you, Ann, a few years ago when Third Wave Dave was still alive, he and I used to talk about this a lot. And when the Obama administration first came into power, Dave would say things like, where is Porter Goss? Where are the CIA former directors? Where are the generals? Where are the patriots that could take this and say, wait a minute, this is wrong. This is wrong. I mean, the ones that did, the Terry Lakins, the Charles Kirshners, the folks out there who have been fighting this fight ever since the beginning, they have been mocked, they've been ridiculed, and they've been pushed aside. They don't have the horsepower that it's going to take to unseat and unravel this mess in Washington. The ones that do aren't doing it. And like you said, for the very reason that if they're worried about their pensions, they're worried about being ostracized, they like their life. And I have to wonder sometimes, what is their comeuppance going to be at the end of it all? When they're standing before God and they have to answer, you wore the uniform. You were entrusted with the safety and security of this beautiful nation that we have given you. What did you do with it?
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, I'll tell you.
That is the image that I have of my judgment and what the question that I fear, and that is, why didn't you do anything?
Her people with something to hide.